Hello, everybody. Let's get ready to talk about ELA. So for this video, we're going to be talking about Queen of the Falls. So what you guys have been focusing on the last few lessons. So our standard is determine two or more main ideas of a text and explain how they are supported by key details. Summarize the text. So our learning target is I can summarize the most important information from Queen of the Falls. What we're going to do is we're going to read this passage, what I can see, because my picture's blocking some of it, and then we are going to pick out some important details in order to write a summary. So, he could then parade Annie across America, visiting lecture halls and theaters, where people would pay to see the barrel and to hear her tell her story. Both he and Annie could get rich. Frank Russell accepted her offer and set off for Niagara Falls to set the stage for her arrival. Getting newspapers to run stories about Annie was not the only thing her manager needed to do. He also had to hire someone who could put Annie and her barrel in the river above the falls. If Annie was to have any chance of surviving the trip, the barrel would have to be placed in the water at exactly the right spot. Fred Truesdale lived in a cottage on the river's bank not far from the falls and knew the river as well as any man. He had a sturdy boat and the muscles to row it through the river's swift and deadly currents. He agreed to set the barrel and its passenger into the river. When Annie and her barrel finally arrived in Niagara, Frank Russell made sure there were newspaper reporters at the train station. Because he had stretched the truth a good deal by describing Annie as a 42-year-old adventuress who climbed mountains and swam across frigid lakes, the reporters were expecting a different sort of woman from the one who stepped off the train. Many of them wondered if the promised trip over the falls was just some kind of hoax. The barrel might go over, but would it really carry Annie Taylor inside? She looked old enough to be someone's grandmother and appeared to have spent considerably more time baking pies than climbing mountains. Alright, so we want to pick out the most important details about the passage we read in order to write a summary. So when you do that, you want to think about the 5 W's. So who would be Annie, right? The what would be the barrel over the falls. The barrel over the falls. The falls. Whoops. The when, it doesn't really specify a when, so we can just say in the past. Where? Niagara Falls. And it doesn't really give Annie's specific why that she wanted to go over the falls, at least not in our passage that we just read. So one thing that you could put, because it did talk about the reporters and Annie being an adventuress, you could just say an adventurous story for the reporters. Adventurous. Sorry, I'm terrible at writing with this pen. Story for reporters. Then you will take all of this information and combine it into one sentence that summarizes the passage. Okay, so when you're summarizing, remember to think about the 5 W's. Who, what, when, where, and why, and then it'll be really easy for you to summarize if you just keep those things in mind. So as always, please contact me with any questions.